today has been a mixed day of emotions. Because today we should have been leaving the European Union. But also we had a great result in the House of Commons. Now I have to tell you, it has been an interesting experience being a member of the European Research Group for the last year or so. We have been called all sorts of things. The Chancellor of the Exchequer called us extremists. Chris Patrick called us vermin. The Today programme implied that we were neo-Nazis. And then for good measure, Donald Tusk sent us all down. So as we're all here today, I would like to take this opportunity to send a special message to all those Europhiliacs on the Today programme who have been pouring EU propaganda down our throats every morning for 30 years. And the message is this: up your... I hope, Mr. Jim Nocti, who called us neo-Nazis, you appreciate the personal nature of what we have just said. Now look, today was a difficult day, and, you know, many MPs were torn about what to do, I won't lie to you, and you will read more about that in the papers. But sometimes in life you have to have something to guide you. My father, Reginald Francois, was a war veteran. He was at D-Day. And when I was 13 years of age, as a present, he gave me a copy of a famous poem called If, by Rudyard Kipling. And he said to me that if ever he was not around when I was in crisis or anxious, if I read the poem, it would tell me what to do. And I read it again the other night, and it could have been written for the ERG over the last year. And perhaps I could just read you the first stanza. Some of you may recognise it. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies, or being hated, don't give way to hate, and yet don't look too good, nor too nice. Ladies and gentlemen, in the House of Commons at 2:35 this afternoon, we voted on the Prime Minister's deal. The division was as follows. And I'm just checking my note. The ayes for the rancid document, 286. The noes, to obey the instructions of 17.4 million people, 344 votes. And so what happens now? Everyone I've spoken to today has asked what happens now. Let me try very quickly, because there are many other far more interesting people who want to speak than me. In essence, because we passed a statutory instrument on Wednesday to extend the leaving date of Article 50 to 11 PM on the 12th of April, there are only two things that can now stop us leaving on that date. That is now the legal default position. It is the law. The first is that the European Council agree to extend Article 50 again.
No!
But I think that is unlikely, because that would mean they have to hold European elections in the United Kingdom, when it is possible that one or two people could be elected who are not entirely committed to the European project. So I believe they're not going to do that. The other way it could be stopped is if Oliver Letwin and Dominic Grieve and their gang, who we now refer to as the Provisional Government, tried to ram a bill through the Houses of Parliament in 2 weeks before the time. I was the operations officer for the Whip's office for 2 years. That's why they hate me so much. And I'm here to tell you that procedurally that is not easy, not least because in the House of Lords we don't have Speaker Urdu.
Yeah.
So here's my peroration. Three times this wretched deal has been voted down by the House of Commons. Your democratically elected representatives. Prime Minister, which bit of no don't you understand? And let me end with this, and thank you all those of you who have marched hundreds of miles. Because you believe the wicked thing, you want to live in a free country. Not far from here, in Green Park, is the Bomber Command Memorial. And on it are inscribed the words of Pericles of Athens, who said the following: freedom is the sole possession of those who have the courage to defend it. You have that courage. That's why you're here. I don't want to tempt fate because we have come so far and marched so hard. But there is a fighting chance. There is a possibility. There is a dream. There is a hope. Today, if we hold our nerve, this country will be free.
We at Leave Means Leave, we are cross-party and no party. So we've had a couple from the right. I think Mark's right. Is it just right of centre? So now let's go a little bit further left. Our next speaker is the national organiser for the trade unionists against the European Union. He's been a member of the Labour Party for over 25 years. He's written about the disconnect between true working class socialists and between the Islington Champagne. Amongst all of us here, finally, he's probably the only lifelong supporter of Wolverhampton Wanderers. Please give a huge welcome to Mr. Paul Embry.
Thank you very much, friends, brothers and sisters. As you've heard, this is a battle, but it isn't just a battle anymore to leave the European Union. This is as much a battle now to defend the principle of democracy, and we need to be clear about that. Because in 2016, in the biggest democratic exercise this country has ever seen, a majority out of 33 million people voted to leave the European Union. They didn't vote to leave only with a deal, they didn't vote to leave but to remain in all of the institutions of the European Union. They didn't vote to half leave, they voted to leave, and leave should mean leave. And I come from the labour and trade union movement, and once upon a time the leadership of that movement was very clear that it was opposed to the European Union because it saw it for the anti-socialist and anti-democratic institution it was. And we had a movement whose leadership believed in the principles of democracy and self-government. And I think of the likes of Tony Benn and Peter Shaw and Barbara Castle and Bob Crow and Michael Foot, giants of the Labour movement, who believe passionately in the right of British people to govern themselves rather than have unelected technocrats in Brussels govern the country for us. And it's a leadership today that unfortunately has lost faith in the ability of working people to be able to defend themselves and protect themselves outside of the European Union. And my message to the leaders of my movement is, if you want to stay relevant, then it's about time you put yourself on the side of the people over the establishment and big business. And you've got to do that damn quickly. And people say this country is divided 52-48. That isn't true. I know lots of Remainers. There are millions of Remainers, and I respect them because they voted the way they did, but they've accepted the result of the referendum and they've urged the government to get on with it. And we should pay tribute to those people because they are true Democrats. So let's be clear about where the divide is. The divide is not between 52 and 48. The divide is not anymore between Leavers and Remainers. The divide, very simply, is between Democrats and anti-Democrats. And we need to remember that what happened in June 2016 was a genuine democratic revolt. It was a revolt among millions of people who felt abandoned by their political class. These people had suffered under austerity and globalisation, and they were suffering low wages and a lack of housing, and those people put a missile through the status quo, and they were absolutely right to do so, and we should defend them 100%. And let's not have any of this nonsense that they didn't know what they were voting for. They were voting. They were voting to reassert democracy and community and self-government and belonging. And if their vote is not implemented, be in no doubt it would be the biggest betrayal of democracy in the history of this country. And we need to stand. And I'll finish on this. If they crush our voice, if they tell us that our voice still doesn't matter, if they continue to ignore the millions in those communities up and down Britain, in places like the North and the Midlands, if they continue to try to subvert our vote, we need the biggest campaign of peaceful civil disobedience that this country has ever seen. And we, all of us need to be at the forefront of that campaign. And it needs to embrace Leavers and Remainers, because it will be a campaign for the Democrats against the Democrats. That's what should unite us. Stand strong, stand proud, stand united, fight for democracy.
Yes!
What a man!
Can you believe that? I'm on. And that's a trade union.
We've not mentioned enough this afternoon about the biggest victim of this appalling deal of the Prime Minister's, and that's Northern Ireland. They're being completely and utterly shafted by this proposal. Their Brexit Minister, Sammy Wilson, sends his love, his support and his commitment, but he can't be here. But in his place we have another special member of the DUP, the Member of Parliament for North Antrim, which, as you all know, is the home of Bushmills whiskey. Let's give a warm welcome to Ian Paisley.
Yay!
Greetings from the people of Northern Ireland. I see them
Welcome!
You are red, you are white, you are dynamite! And it's
Yes!
good to see you in Parliament Square this evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a good story recounted in the good book. It says the wise build their house upon a rock.
Solid foundation.
I am glad today we are standing with the rock of the British people. Of the withdrawal agreement that we will never wear on our people. Your journey here has been long. It has faced many twists and turns. There will be more agonizing days and steps ahead. But ahead of us stands the sunny uplands of freedom. Freedom. Do not let any government ever put upon you a withdrawal agreement that cuts our great nation in two. The backstab that ruins our country. And thank you to the English, to the Scots, to the Welsh for standing with the Ulster people. Let us continue to go forward in unity, in strength, together, in the knowledge that we are going to win. No surrender!
You're not laughing now, are you? No. We're not moving on it today. It is an act of betrayal. We won the war, but we had the Treaty of Versailles. And this treaty is the modern day equivalent. Let's march! She signed up to something that has proved to be a disaster. She signed up to something that no country, unless it had been defeated in war, would have signed up to. I know that virtually none of you have ever done a proper job in your lives. Brexit is going to happen anyway. Mr. Tusk, if you think the British people have changed their minds on Brexit, you, sir, are deluded.
And I've no doubt tomorrow the media will speculate how many people turned up
300?
to the Leave Means Leave rally. Well, I know the number. There are 17.4 million people here. And it's brave of you to come, because I sense, being in Westminster, that we are in enemy territory. There are hundreds of people just over the street that have treated that referendum and those that voted it with total and utter contempt over the course of the last 3 years. We have a Prime Minister who told us Brexit means Brexit and then signed up to a new European treaty that in many ways was worse than the one we wanted to leave. I did not fight. I did not give up 25 years of my adult life to fight to get us out of those European treaties, to see a British Prime Minister sign us up to another one. And so I am pleased that Parliament today, for the third time, has voted that dreadful deal down, and we now have a chance of a clean sheet. But you know, what is happening here is actually bigger than just Brexit. It's bigger than the fact we voted for this in a referendum being told our will would be honoured. It's bigger.
than 85% of us in the general election, voting for parties who said they would honour the result. It's even bigger than 498 MPs voting for Article 50, which said we would leave the European Union on the 29th of March at 11 p.m. It's bigger than all of that. This is about our whole system of democracy. This is about the bond of trust that needs to exist between the people and those that govern us. This is about who we are as a nation, what our standing is in the world, and frankly, I believe that what has happened over there has not just turned this day that should have been one of great celebration into a day that history will mark as a day of betrayal. I believe that what has happened over the course of the last 2 years is actually one of the saddest and worst chapters in the history of our nation. Yeah. And what they want is to beat us down. What they want is us to give up. What they want is us to go away. Well, let me tell you, am I today on March the 29th downcast? Am I disheartened? No. No. I am more determined to fight back against this political party.
Nigel!
They thought they could simply walk all over us. Well, what Leave Means Leave did with its 50 brave marchers, they marched back from Sunderland to Parliament Square to tell them we will not be defeated by your lies and by your trickery. The British public are more with us now than they've ever been at any point in time. There is now a big, settled, clear lead for us to leave on the 12th of April with no deal. Let's hope But until this day I fear that the betrayal that we've seen over today's date will probably be repeated on the 12th of April. But let us not be disheartened. I tell you what, if that means we have to fight the European elections on the 23rd of May, let me tell you, I will fight them. And if they force us,
Nigel!
forces to fight a second referendum, we'll beat them by a bigger margin. This is about our country. It's about our nation. It's about our democracy. It's about who we are as a people, what we stand for, what those that did before us gave, worked for, sacrificed, so that we can be free people. It's about our children and grandchildren growing up being proud to be British. I can't think of any time in history in which a greater betrayal of a democratic vote has ever happened in any country in the Western world, and they can tonight over there content themselves because they think they're winning, because they live in the Westminster bubble. We are the real people in this country, and we know That referendum was the first of many great victories. We will get our country back. We will get our independence back. We will get our pride and self-respect back. We are going to win!
Nigel!
Yes.